Good morning. Today I had a very important realization, that is, my cheap bike is not really as bad as I thought it was. Let's talk all about that in today's video. Case in point is this bike right here, the Spanker Unicorn R1, which I've been riding for urban commutes for a couple of weeks now. Before we proceed ahead with this video, I want to clear out a few things. First thing, when I say cheap bike, I do not mean it in a derogatory way. I just mean an affordable bike. Secondly, the term cheap bike or an affordable bike is a very subjective term. Something that might be affordable to you might not be affordable to me. For example, if somebody from the West considers a $1,000 bike or a $2,000 bike as a cheap bike, that already is a premium bike to me. So in this case, this Spanker costs about 13,000 peso, which is about 18,000 rupees roughly. Or let's generalize this as a bike that costs less than 20,000 rupees. The points that I'm going to say are applicable to this bike particularly, but you can also relate with other bikes that fall under the same category, under the same price bracket. Having that cleared out of the way, let's go out on a ride. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Desmo Sudesi is a channel all about bicycling, e-bikes and all that stuff. If this is something that tickles your fancy, give this channel a subscribe and do not forget to hit on the bell icon while you're at it. Let me define the use and the purpose of this bike. The only place where I'm going to use this bike is to commute and occasional leisure riding or weekend riding, which is not too long of a distance. Not touring, not racing, just urban commuting and leisure rides. So when I define these purposes of the bike, things start to get clear. Now first thing, this bike comes with a Sensa group set, which is not very popular as Shimano or SRAM, but it works. This is an 8-speed group set, has these integrated drifters, which is not the best compared to Shimano, higher tier Shimano, but in my use case it works totally well. And also the convenience of having an integrated shifter and a brake lever is really good in traffic situations. An 8-speed group set might sound too little compared to the modern standards, but then in this case I am riding in Manila, which is flat as a pancake, and I don't use more than 3 gears. I use a low gear to climb flyovers. I use a slightly medium gear to run on flats, and a high gear sometimes to pick up speed. That's about it. And I have so many gear ratios left to do all sorts of things. See, if you are on a hilly area, 8 gears is more than enough. You can swap the cassette to one which has more teeth to suit your situations. Talking about the componentry of this bike, it does not come with anything flashy or any bells and whistles. It comes with simple caliper brakes that work. I spoke about the gears on the group set already. In fact, it is heavy. It's about 14 and a half kilograms. But then in an urban commute scenario where you're not really trying to beat anyone, it doesn't really matter. I have ridden lighter bikes. Of course, there's a lot of difference. But then in an urban commute scenario where you're stopping and looking at traffic and trying to be careful and trying to stay alive, that few kilograms of weight doesn't really matter. So this bike is not light, it is not fast, but it is fast enough to take me from point A to point B in a city. It is faster than any other modes of transport at the moment where I'm at, and it is light enough for me to carry it around. Overall, it does not really bother me as much as it should. Money wise, a cheap bike is already a bargain, and with me commuting on it and saving all the cab money, it's actually paying for itself. Sounds cliche, but that's the truth. Lastly, riding a cheap bike like this in the city gives me a lot of peace of mind because I don't really have to worry about it too much. I don't really worry if I have to lock it to some pole while I have to do my work. I don't really have to worry to carry it around, and if I drop it somewhere, I don't have to worry that things will crack and break. Even if they do break, it's so easily parts are so easily available, and anyone can repair this. If something goes wrong, if it needs some sort of setting, any mechanic, any roadside mechanic will be able to, help me with this. That gives me a lot of peace of mind to take this bike without thinking twice. Say God forbid, even if this bike gets stolen somewhere, it would hurt me lesser than it would hurt me if somebody stole my Trek. Having said all of these points about cheap bikes, I am in no way trying to tell you that expensive bikes are not worth it. In fact, expensive bikes, well-engineered bikes, are totally worth their asking price. And in fact, it's a great thing to have one of your own. I have the privilege of owning an expensive bikes. The ride quality that they offer and the kind of fun that you can have on that is nowhere compared to a bike like this. Having said that, this bike is not all that bad either. This has its place provided you understand what it can do and what it cannot do. Even if you have an expensive bike, it makes so much sense to have a cheap bike. And if you have one of these, you can also learn how to repair a bicycle. You can experiment on it, and when you buy your expensive bike, you will have enough knowledge how to take care of it. And that's all I have for today. If you've liked this video, give this video a thumbs up. I will see you in the next one.